Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. I am sitting here with Anthony Renato of Cards and Culture. We're going to talk a little business, a little bit about sports, maybe dive into the non-fungible token sector as well, maybe some collectible items, just who knows where we're going to go with this show. It's going to be a wild ride and a lot of fun. Stick around and enjoy. I want to give a big shout out to our lovely sponsors that make this show possible each and every week. We've got Falaya Real Estate, Currency Bank, Horizon Financial Group, Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge, Mallard Bay Outdoors, and Government Taco. Thank them so very much for making the show possible. And without further ado, Anthony, welcome to the show, man.
Well, thank you for having me. This is professional. I'm excited to be here.
I mean, we do what we can. We make it work. 3 years come a long way, making everything happen and partnering up with the right people. That's, I think, the biggest thing in business and growing what you're doing is making sure you find those right partners that have a good enough vision that can go along with your crazy ideas. That's exactly and just kind of help guide you along the way. I mean, that's why we're here in Falaya Studio, is because they were like, look, we believe in it. Let's make it happen.
That's awesome. I mean, this is great space. You guys gave me a beer. It's off to the right start. Man. I love it. Yeah, thank you.
Look, it's that calming of the nerves, but from what I know, you don't need the nerves calm because you've actually got your own shows and stuff. So
something like that.
Who is Anthony Renato for those that aren't aware?
That's a good question. So my story is a kid from New Jersey, came to LSU to play baseball at LSU, played here for 3 years. Pitched and won a national championship on the 2009 national championship team, and then was drafted by the Boston Red Sox and started a baseball career for 7 or 8 years and played professionally with Boston, Texas Rangers, the Chicago White Sox, and then I even went over to over to Korea, and I played for the Samsung Lions as well. Okay. So, but nowadays, I'm in that second phase, and so that was kind of my introductory to Louisiana and how I got here and stuff, but I'm a business owner here in Baton Rouge, and I own Cards and Culture, which is, I guess you could say, a modern day collectibles shop. And then I'm also the owner of F45 Training, which is a franchise based out of Australia, but it's a fitness-based concept. Stands for F45 is functional 45-minute workouts. So we got two of those gyms.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah.
They've got one coming up right next to my house, and I had no idea it was functional.
Over 45. By Bocage?
Yeah.
We just opened that one up. That's our second one. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes. So those are my three little babies right now. The kind of my day-to-day, everything that I'm doing. But here in Baton Rouge and being a business owner, entrepreneur, former athlete, doing stuff with LSU, that kind of stuff. A lot of fun.
I love that. And you also have not one, but two podcasts that you do each week.
Yes. Yeah. So that's kind of where Cards and Culture kind of started from too, and why I had a brick and mortar location was I started a podcast in January of 2019 called The Up and In Show. And it was more just my, stories, interviewing athletes, people that have done really extraordinary things, have cool stories. But that's kind of morphed into, I call it business, performance, business, and sports. So it's a little bit of everything, but I kind of interview people, learn from them, learn from their journeys, learn from their adversities, their strengths, their successes, all that kind of stuff. Then I have a second podcast that we just started with Cards and Culture with Kylie Maris, who is the granddaughter of Roger Maris, who broke Babe Ruth's home run record, and Paul Maneri, my LSU baseball coach. He just former LSU baseball coach, just retired after 15 years at LSU. So us three do a podcast once a week as well at Cards and Culture.
That is a rock solid staff, right? for a sports,
especially baseball. Right?
I know, that's just
we're checking the boxes.
No duh. That's like who do you have? If you could pick who you wanted, yes, those two. You got the three of y'all done.
Right,
boom.
And Kylie's personality is absolutely incredible. She's a rock star. She's really cool. We just got to get Coach a little bit more used to the podcast format rather than interview format. But
the crisp, polished interview format, like
looking into the camera, answering the questions. I'm like, Coach, it wasn't a question. I'm right here.
No, Coach. Yeah. The cameras are here. They're captured. They're documenting what we're doing.
Exactly.
No, it's you and I. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. Maybe you should give them some beer or something.
That would be. Look at you. This is like the third or fourth thing that you're just. You need to come over and come to Cards and Culture. Just keep giving me ideas.
I'm great. In, man. Look, we'll come by. Monday and Tuesday, right? That's when you all film.
Exactly,
okay, we'll come by.
You got to come on my
days.
podcast now. This is that'll be great,
dude. Name the date and time. I'm there.
Love it.
So there was a lot to unpack about Anthony within that opening bit. So let's start with the baseball side of things. So you pitched on the national championship team at LSU, but you're originally from New Jersey. So how in the heck did you make it all the way down here to our great state?
I don't know. It was luck, honestly, because I wanted to come. It's so funny it's a funny story was I was a New Jersey kid, and back in the day when you were a junior, they could only call you on July 1st. They couldn't, schools couldn't contact you before that unless you were on their campus. Nowadays, they get away with it, and that's why recruits sign so early, is because they can text, and there's so many loopholes, and they can get them on campus, and that's when they talk to them. But
wait, so you can text, but you can't call?
Correct. It's so messed up.
All right.
It's so messed up.
How old are these rules?
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, it's got to be
Does
like
FaceTime count as a call?
There's probably so many loopholes in it that I don't even want to know about because it's such a weird world. But they called me on July 1st, and I was like, I remember getting the call and being in the car with my dad and putting the phone down and being like, LSU, what is it? Like, where is that? I had no idea. And he was just like, he said LSU, and my dad was like, Louisiana State, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, and then I was like, oh,
yeah, I'll
SEC.
talk to you.
Yeah, I was like SEC, and then they started rambling off. It was Terry Rooney, and he was talking about the national championships and all these different things, and I was like, oh my God. So for the next couple months, we talked and everything, but as the recruiting process went on, they signed their guys that they needed to sign, and all that. So they stopped talking to me for a couple months, and I narrowed down my choices to 3 schools. One of them was not LSU. And at the last second, they called me. I guess maybe some things fell through with their guys, and they got me on a visit. And I was supposed to go to Vanderbilt the weekend after I visited here, but I loved LSU so much that I just came here. I committed on the spot, didn't even go check out Vandy, nothing. Yeah, it was great. So, and after that, everything was history. I fell in love with the place, and I've been here now 17 years or something.
That's what I'm talking about. I love you didn't go to Vandy. Like,
oh my God.
Yes, we got you locked in.
If I stepped foot on Vanderbilt's campus, I don't know. I might have gone there, but that's why I was like,
so have you been to Vandy since?
I have not, actually.
So you've never stepped?
Never went to Vandy's campus.
Like, not even for like any other sporting act, just nothing. No foot on the turf.
Nothing ever. Nowhere near it, anything. So I'm like, part of me is going to go there when I'm like 48 years old or something and be like, so this is where I could have went to school? This is beautiful.
this is what I missed out on? Come on.
Well, hopefully at 48, my life's pretty, like everything's gone well, hopefully.
I was about to say, I think it's on a pretty good track
exactly,
already,
yeah.
So I don't think you'll miss out on anything.
I'm happy where I'm at, yeah.
So you pitched and won in the national championship at LSU. What was that experience like?
And I feel like I can say this with real honesty, that like nothing else. And I know it sounds so cliche and so whatever, but I played in Boston. My debut was against the New York Yankees on a Friday night. Electric. It was awesome, but it wasn't the same as LSU. I pitched in Chicago and hit a home run at Wrigley Field. Wasn't the same. Like it was just different. There's something different. I played in Korea. I played where their fans love their teams and their sports, but it's just different. There's something different here. So to be a part of that, and then even now 10, 15 years later, 20 years, however many years it's been since we won the national championship, it's still cool that we're having conversations about it. It's still cool that people come in my shop and talk about it. And I think that's so unique to LSU. I really do. Like, I believe that. I've been a lot of places, a lot of championship cities and stuff like that. And people don't forget you here. It's really, really awesome. It's a great community. So for me to be the winning pitcher, to win that national championship, or to be a part of that team, and even for, coach to trust me with the ball that last game and that kind of stuff, unbelievable. It's something that I'll never forget, and it's part of my story for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what everyone that sets foot inside of Tiger Town, that's their goal, is being either on that mound or on that field and being able to walk away with that national title. And you're able to be a part of that team that did so within baseball.
Yeah. And it's so funny here because there's no major league teams, right? So the LSU fans are, they're locked into baseball.
Die hard,
yes,
man.
And they love baseball. That's what I love about it here. So, they'll never forget that. And just to be a part of that history and that tradition, to be a part of the 6 national championships, and honestly, you see it. My nephew is a sophomore in high school. I just went and visited him and all his friends and stuff. And LSU's the Mecca. Like, they're in Virginia, and it's like every kid would love to go there, would love to go to LSU, would love to be there. And everybody talks about what's it like. I heard you got the tie. There's so many things that are iconic about LSU that people from afar across the country just recognize and appreciate, and I don't take that for granted.
Oh yeah, no, that's like I remember back when I was at LSU in undergrad, they were talking about in a marketing class the most recognizable brands in not only the SEC but like across the country. And like LSU was top 5.
Yeah,
for good reason. I mean,
yep.
When you see that purple and gold, you know exactly who they are. You can say LSU anywhere,
yep.
and people will instantly give you that credibility. I mean, the professors alone, they would say we would always put our email, and it was always like at LSU.edu was always a little bit bigger than everything else on the screen. So they'd be like, oh yeah, at LSU. That's the school we're with.
Yep.
So just having that team spirit and that city and that state behind you all the way, I'm sure is unlike any other feeling.
Absolutely. And then even when I played professional baseball, it was cool to see the LSU fans travel to see them at different games, to see them show up in different cities. You just go somewhere and people are like, "Go Tigers," and you're just like, "What? I'm in Savannah, Georgia." Where, or like
they travel.
Yeah, they're everywhere, and it's like, that's a cool part. Or if they hear that there was an LSU baseball player in their area, like, "Oh, let's go check out the game and support them." Like, that's so cool. Like, to me, that is pretty amazing. I think I had fans, like LSU fans in Iowa when I played in AAA Iowa, and it was just like, what are you doing here? And it's like, "Oh, well, I got a job up here, and so we heard that you were coming, and like, we're a fan still of LSU baseball." You're like, "What? Okay, cool. Yeah, like, let's hang out.
Great to see you.
Yeah.
Like, let's go."
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, just alone for the returfing of the stadium, how many people were sitting for hours just to get a piece of that turf?
Crazy.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I did want to go.
Yeah. I was gonna be like, "Were you in the line?"
I was not in the line. I had to work, unfortunately, till like 4 or 5. And
Gotcha.
my wife drove by. She's like, "Yeah, no, the line's already too far gone. Like, there's no chance we're getting anything."
Yeah, that line
was like,
was ridiculous. I remember.
And they started lining up at like 10 o'clock in the morning for something they couldn't get till 3.
That's unbelievable.
Like, just the amount of just passion that the fan base has is unreal.
Only at LSU. That's what I believe. I believe that.
Only LSU can drink a city dry.
Exactly. And only LSU does the economy go down when the football team goes down, and all that. It's so funny.
The economy and the sports run parallel with each other.
I say that all the time. Even too, people's moods. Like, I'm like, when the football team's doing great, everybody's spirits like during the fall is just good. Business owners like, "Yeah, come on, we'll give discounts. It's great." I swear, everybody's just in a better mood. But this past couple of years, like year or two, I feel like it's just completely different.
Yeah, and I mean, even with just Baton Rouge stuff in general, with the Garth Brooks concert coming into town, I mean, people are just getting electric already about it. Like, it's okay, guys. It's a concert,
and we do it every year.
But come on, like, and I know we go big and out. Like, come on, guys, let's rein it in. But I think all that passion just fuels so much across our city, which is great to see.
Absolutely.
So you graduated and advanced from LSU onto the major leagues. What was that experience like, going through that all the way through till you were able to just kind of say goodbye?
Yeah. I think LSU prepared me to do that. Like, just in the sense of, we're talking about how great LSU is and the things that they provide for you, the opportunities. And I think that was one of them. Was when I got to pro ball, I felt prepared to handle the media. I felt prepared to handle pressure. When I got to the major leagues, I'd played in front of big crowds. I'd pitched in front of 30,000 people, things like that. So, LSU gave me a great skill set and tool set and opportunity to take advantage of those things. And then they provided resources too, like, media training and things like that, where when I got to pro ball and in a big market like Boston, I felt equipped. I felt okay to handle this kind of stuff. And after my first start, there was 60 reporters around me, and I'm standing there, and I felt ready for it. I did. And so it was an incredible journey. The minor leagues were a grind. I went through a lot of injuries and all that stuff, but getting to the major leagues was definitely worth it, and it paid off.
Yeah. And then you ended up finishing out that career and kind of bringing your way back to Louisiana. What was that driving force of making that decision to come back?
I think just the fans at LSU. I think that I feel like we're harping on that a lot, but it was the only thing that helped me decide that. Where did I want to go? New Jersey, because I grew up in Jersey, and I didn't even think about anywhere else in the world or in the country or anything. And it was like, LSU was a no-brainer for me. It was just the fans, the people, the way that they treat people. A lot of my friends were here that I just really developed like lifelong bonds with and things like that. So it felt like it was just, this has turned into home for me. It really has. And I feel like, as much as I'm from New Jersey, I like to talk fast and move fast. I feel like the people, the way that they treat people and how nice they are and genuine, and the way that they open things and share things with people is more my speed than New Jersey. I love New Jersey.
You like to slow it down a little bit from time to time.
Yes,
you like
exactly.
to cook a gumbo for 8 hours when someone can do it in like 2.
Exactly, right. Yeah, there's no need to rush that. Yeah, we got to enjoy it.
That's an all-day affair.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We got to milk the good times, and that's the other thing down here in Louisiana too. I love that. There's always an excuse to have a good time or make a party or whatever, right? And it's like, people just appreciate life down here, and that's what I like a lot more. Everything is very serious in New Jersey. How do you get things done quick, efficient, get out of my way, don't look at me, that kind of stuff.
Don't you dare wave at me as we're walking on the sidewalk.
No eye contact, absolutely. Don't even look at me. Yeah, but I love Louisiana, I really do.
And then down here, we party for a hurricane.
That's the thing that I love. That's what I mean. Oh, in New Jersey, everybody's bundled up. It's the end of the world, and it's like, down here, people are drinking. Wait, they're surfing in the streets. I'm like, these people get it. This is fun.
Oh yeah, everybody brings out their batos and their goat elbows and start going down the flooded streets.
Yep.
And it's part of living every moment to its fullest.
Absolutely.
Within Baton Rouge.
Yep.
So when you came back here, did you have like any type of plan on what you were going to do from a business standpoint, a living standpoint, or was it just what was the plan?
Yeah. Well, it was funny because my career ended with a line drive off my hand, actually. So I took a line drive off my hand in July of 2017, shattered my hand and had to have like emergency surgery and all that. So I have a plate and 7 screws in there. And so I didn't know if baseball was done, if I wanted to keep playing anymore. I was kind of burnt out as well. I had just had so many injuries in my career. And even when I was getting paid good money in Korea and was the #1 pitcher over there doing all that stuff, it still wasn't enjoyable for me. I wasn't happy. And so I was like, you know what, I just want to take some time away from baseball. I went back to school and started graduating, that kind of stuff. And then I made a few angel investments, in business, just wrote some checks and stuff. And I realized I didn't really like doing that because I didn't have an effect on the business, per se. As a minority owner, you're not hands-on and you can't really affect as much as you like. And that's when it just really triggered me. I was like, you know what, I want to kind of take things in my own hands. And I started with the podcast of just like interviewing people, learning things, asking questions on their journey and that kind of stuff. And then one thing led to another. And then F45 came to me as a great opportunity. And I just decided to roll with it. And that's how I started my business journey.
I love it. So I want to take a step back because I can't believe I skipped over this. Korea. What was it like playing ball there?
Unbelievable. If I could just get more guys, if I would have got more guys out, it would have been an unbelievable experience. I was just terrible on the field. Like when I tell you I was probably throwing like 87, 88, and my velocity was usually like 92 to 94, 95, something like that. And I just couldn't figure it out over there, man. I had injuries. I don't know. My baseball performance was terrible. I say that because everything else was amazing. The food, the people, the city, the travel. I absolutely loved my experience there, and I was getting paid very well. So they took care of me and that kind of stuff. So the experience was great. I just wish I could have performed better.
Well, like what was the field any different? Like what you think was the biggest leading factor of the difference in your performance?
I don't know I think the difference in my performance was honestly arrogance and stubbornness. I think as I got older in my career, there was things I needed to change and adapt and look into. And I was like, nope, this is the way that I do it. I was a first rounder. I'll do it. I'm fine. Like all this stuff. I know what's right. I know what's best for me. So I think it was a lot of that, honestly. Like a lot of my issues could have been solved. And if I would have had an open mind, if I listened more, honestly. But hey, that's life.
That's all of our tale.
Exactly.
That's everyone's tale.
Exactly.
If only we could have just listened and been a little bit more open-minded.
Exactly.
Gone so many different ways.
Exactly. So yeah, that was my story in Korea. I loved it. Food was great too.
Was it?
Unbelievable. But I went there with the mindset because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna go there and be picky and I'm gonna embrace everything. I'm embodying their culture, and I just went there with that mindset and I ate everything and loved it. Like everything was great. It really was.
Well, I feel like that in like Louisiana, especially coming from New Jersey, like anywhere you go, if you're going to be there for a while, you just have to embody whatever their culture is, whatever their food they're eating.
Yes.
You just got to be a part of it.
100%.
Otherwise, you're going to sit there and be like, then you're going to be that guy at the table.
Exactly.
And you're like, okay, what do you have that's not with all of this, and all of this?
Yep. I'm also
they're just going to look at you and be
like, get out.
No.
This is what we have.
Yeah, this is what we have. This is what you get.
Yeah.
So makes sense.
Yeah, but it was great. It really was. So it worked out.
I love that. So going to F45, that was you're doing the podcast, and then they just like called you up and said, hey, Anthony, we want to put some franchises in your area, or how did that conversation go?
Yeah, so I was just interviewing people around, fitness, wellness, that kind of stuff. And I guess I don't even know how I crossed paths with her, but I wound up crossing paths with a girl from Austin, Texas, and we started talking, and we wound up starting dating a little bit, and she was moving in the transition of moving from Austin, where she was a head trainer at an F45, to San Antonio, where she played lingerie football, so she had a sports agent, all that stuff, where he was a lawyer in town, and they were going to open up 4 or 5 of them in San Antonio. And she was telling me about their team and the marketing strategy, the content and all this, and I was like, man, that's really cool. I love that idea. And the wheels started turning of like, man, we could do that here. I love the concept. I love the brand. I love the workout. The product itself is really, really good. And so I was like, let's explore it. So I found a couple business partners, 2 other former LSU baseball players. One of the guys is Bo Didier, one of my best friends in the world. And he's just a great salesman, manager of people, understands people a lot. And so I approached Nick Panoff, another guy that I played with at LSU, and he was like, if we get Bo to do it and run the gym and handle all the memberships and the selling of the memberships and stuff like that, he was like, I'm in. I'm like, done. So right then and there, we kind of made the idea, and all 3 of us Bo earned a bunch of sweat equity by, by doing a lot of the work and things like that. And Nick and I put up the money and found the location and did all that stuff. And so, yeah, and the rest was history.
I love it.
And then we opened up a week before COVID. So literally.
So perfect timing.
March 2020.
From a business standpoint,
awesome.
That's the exact time you want to open a gym, nonetheless.
Exactly.
But wait, weren't gyms deemed essential?
Not at first. Or at first they were. But we had, what was weird is, I think when we shut down. Oh, we did shut down right away. Yeah, we shut down right away.
They were not essential?
We were not essential. And then we made a list after, we were open 2 months later. So it wasn't crazy terrible where we were completely locked out for 6 months or a year or anything like that. I think it was 2 or 3 months we were locked out. But it was a week after we had opened. I was just sitting at home being like, okay, well, this is one of the things that could wipe out our business right here, and probably the most unlikely thing, but it's out of our control now.
How do you plan? Where do you put, global pandemic in your business plan?
In your risk assessment?
What's our risk for, what's our risk mitigation whenever we look at a global pandemic? I got a professor from LSU coming on later this year. I'm going to ask him that question. In your teaching of the business plan class at LSU, do you now have in your risk mitigation measures global pandemic? Do you have to put in people and make them think about that? I mean, it's something that affected us for 2 years.
Right. I would imagine it was the language was probably what's the act of God thing?
An act of God.
An act of God. So, that's. I guess that's what you would say. Be I think that's what we would. I think we always say, man, risky right now. The only risks are if the economy goes into recession, and people one of the first things that they do is cut gym memberships, or something like an act of God where the building blows up, or something, or a global pandemic where everything shuts down. Cool.
Or a place where nobody can get anything on another person.
Yeah, right.
Like in an active class, people are nice, close, and friendly with sweat flying. Can't have that anymore.
Just breathing on each other. Everywhere. It was terrible. We had to get the play. It was a mess, but. Hey, if we went through that and
you made it through it.
That's what I mean. We made it through, and if we can make it through that, that's gave me a lot of confidence that we can do some stuff. Yeah.
What was it? The percentages is the 9 out of 10 startups fail within the first 24 months.
Yep.
So if you made it through 24 months of a global pandemic and you're seeing the other side, what can't you tackle?
Oh, that's what I was saying. We made our 2-year anniversary recently, so I was like, yep, and through a global pandemic.
And opened a new location.
Yep.
As of a week or 2 ago?
Probably about a month now, but yeah, somewhere right around there. It's just started kicking, yeah. So, which was crazy. So, and again, this is the thing that, as an entrepreneur, a business person, I take pride in, or I appreciate is, I listen to a lot of podcasts about a lot of successful entrepreneurs, and it was, hey, during the crisis, during the 08, when everything failed, I had this opportunity. I was like, man, all these successful people saw an opportunity. Where's the opportunity, right?
Right.
And so with F45, there was an opportunity. They needed, liquidity, right? So they were offering locations at a fraction of the prices. So we scooped up 2 other, locations pretty much for free. So we got that location without we saved a good amount of overhead on the way up, right? So there was an opportunity there. So we were like, okay, we see the light at the end of the tunnel with location number 1. We're liquid. We have a good amount in the bank. So we feel like we're in a good position to do this. And we took advantage of that. And now we got this beautiful location, and it's thriving over there. The numbers are even better than the first location. So
and the first location is the one on Bluebonnet and Highland, right?
Correct.
So the second location by Bocage is doing better than the first one?
It's numbers wise. We don't have as many members, but the structure of the memberships is a little different there. And in the first one, we had to do lifetime discounted memberships to get people on board, that kind of stuff. So price per membership at City Square is a little bit less, but we have more members over there. But the revenue numbers are a little higher at the Bocage one, just because price per membership is a little higher.
Gotcha. And so can you go and use either location, or are you bound to one location?
You're bound to one location, but for the most part, the classes aren't always full. So, and it's a close knit group right now while we only have 2 locations. So for the most part, as long as a member kind of reaches out and asks, hey, next week I want to go over here, can we do that? Yeah, it's not a big deal. We'll make it work.
Gotcha. And so you said y'all scooped up 2 more. Can we talk about where the third one's going to go? Is there a site laid out yet? Where is the third one? Because it sounds like you had 3, right?
Well, we have 2 more locations. So we have the Arlington location, which is right over by where the Orange Theory is, over by the university. So by what what are those?
Oh yeah, the
cottages
thing.
and all that stuff. You know, like where all the
There's one over there.
There's an Orange Theory there. So like we always say, if there's an Orange Theory, then we kind of know that that's our market demographic, and like we should probably be in the same area. So we scooped that location, and we think that's great for all the college kids, and that's probably in our demographic with the university, the professors, that kind of stuff. But the other one that I think we're probably going to go to for location 3, if we do a third location, would be Prairieville. So kind of over by CCL area and like kind of moving into Prairieville, maybe closer to Airline, somewhere over there.
Gosh, yeah, and Prairieville as of late has like started to blow up lately.
Yeah.
Like
School
a lot of
systems
people
are
are
good out
moving
there.
out to Prairieville
Yeah.
and like Ascension Parish. Like
Yep.
the AP is starting to become a lot more prevalent than it has been over the last decade. I've noticed.
Yep.
Just like with talking to people, oh yeah, we're moving out to Prairieville. Like that's where we live now. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
A lot of family. Yeah, a lot of people go out there. Yeah. So we're going to explore it, but that would probably be location number 3 if I had to guess.
Gotcha. And so like that's having that as kind of, because that was like your first hands-on business, right?
Yeah. And then even more hands-on when it was like, oh, we got to do everything ourselves. We can't hire more trainers, right? There's nobody to train right now. So we had to make videos every single day for our members and stuff. So Bo and I were doing it every single day, and our other head trainer, Kerry. And we grinded. But yes, it was very, very hands-on.
I was about to say, so how did y'all get through the pandemic?
It was honestly just being more hands-on. It was getting group chats, Facebook messaging, marketing material. Not when I say marketing materials, more information to people, right? Hey guys, this is how you keep a good diet during the pandemic. Here are some tips to work out at home. Here are some things to, balance out your mental health while, you can't go and do different things. So it was more communication to our members, just still being involved, still caring about their journey, still caring about their wellness, that kind of stuff. And I think we got lucky that we were open for 7 days before, because we got to meet everybody. They saw us, they felt us, so we didn't have a lot of people quit, which was nice.
I was about to say, like, what was the retention rate from that? But I mean, just
Strong, actually.
7 days. Wow.
7.
That's like telling a restaurant, go open for 7 days and then close your doors.
I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe. I remember sitting at my house and being like, what happened? Like, how did this? How? Yeah. And can you imagine the high too that we were riding? Everything was great. We're open. Like, it was awesome. All this hard work that we did led up to this moment. And now it was like the gym's supposed to just be running itself. This is the fun part. Money's coming in, members, we get to meet people, and it's like, psych. Nope.
So within those 7 days, did y'all have like any precursor of we might have to, like, something's coming, like, or was it just all of a sudden you wake up to an email, effective immediately, we have to shut the doors?
It was when it was the night before when the NBA canceled their season. It was at night, and I called Bo and Nick, and I was like, the NBA just canceled their season. There's no way our gym's going to be open. They're canceling, like the world is shutting down. And we were all in disbelief. We're like, no way, this can't happen. It was something like our brains couldn't even conceive at the time. It had never happened. We didn't live during anything like this. Or
it's nothing no one's familiar with.
Exactly. So we didn't even know what to expect. We didn't even know. And then it was just literally when the governor made the announcement or whenever, I was like, wait, what? How do we live? Like, what do we do? So it was really confusing times for us, for sure. But we made it.
Y'all made it. I'm sure now that you've got that. I mean, now you have a content library of just videos of exercises that you can repurpose, and I'm sure you're using on like your website, your social media.
Yep.
Like, all that's gold now.
Yep.
You put in all that effort, and all that stuff just carries forward unless it's a workout goes out of date. I mean, like, that's the expiration date on a workout. It's
Yep.
like, oh, it's no longer effective. It's like, well,
Yep.
I don't know how that could work, though.
Yeah. And just built personal relationships with our members too. It was fun because we're all in a group chat, right? So we got to see names and faces and learn people and get to know them a little bit more on an intimate level, right? And so that was the cool part, is when we got to open up, we felt like we knew everybody. We were all connected, and it kind of gave people that sense of community in a world that was shut down, right? So it was a good opportunity for us to connect with our members, for sure.
That's good. And then they kind of now expanding into the next location are able to say, hey, let's do the same thing, but we'd like to see your faces.
Yeah. We don't want to go.
We don't want to do a group chat or anything. We want to see y'all's faces in person,
Yes.
in studio.
Yeah. No more global pandemics. No more staying at home. Yeah. Please come into the gym for the workout.
Yeah. And I heard you've got like a little dog you bring to some of the workouts.
I do. She comes she goes a lot of places with me. I mean, it's surprised she's not.
I was about to say, like, I'm expecting the dog to come.
That's what I should have brought. I mean, I should have brought Lila. She would have been sitting right here. She's a 25, 30 pound French bulldog. She's awesome. I trained her from day one. I got her in July of 2020, during the pandemic. And right away, right when we opened the gym, I started bringing her to the gym, like when she was a puppy, music blasting. And I trained her to stay at the front desk. So that way she didn't bother any of the members or anything. So she just kind of hangs out there. When the classes are over, she'll walk around a little bit and like mingle, and people will pet her, and that kind of stuff. And yeah, she hangs out at the gym. Then I take her to my shop too, all the time at Cards and Culture in Perkins Row. She's well trained. She's awesome.
Does she have her own Instagram yet?
You know what's funny is I started the little Instagram thing, but I was like, I can't keep up with this. This is too much. I had a few pictures, and I was like, this is not for me. I have enough things going on to run an Instagram for my dog.
Man,
no,
you need an Instagram for your dog.
She would kill it. The problem was she would get way more followers than me, and I'd be like running her Instagram. I'd be like, I had to really check myself and be like, dude, you're running an Instagram for a dog. So I was just a little nervous about it. I put it on the back burner, but she would probably kill it on Instagram. Idea. Yeah.
Have her like be the face of Cards and Culture.
She's going to develop into the face of Cards and Culture. Sometimes she sits, we have like a ledge and there's like big windows, and people will be walking by and they'll just poke their heads and be like, is the dog real? And be like, oh, she's real. Come on in, meet her. So she's
part of the brand.
Exactly. She's all part of the experience.
I mean, you got some opportunity to work there. Your logo is a hollow logo, right? So it's just the letters and the circle and the C and the C. I think you can fit in the background of the shadow, like have a shadow of an outline of her face and like a different color.
Oh,
I think if you make like some swag or some hats, it would sell.
We could do the dog ears because the Frenchie's got the big ears. You could do it somewhere in there too.
Oh, that's right. Look, and then
possibilities.
And then once you attach her to Cards and Culture, now you just start doing like competition with Raising Cane. Who's got the better dog brand?
Oh my God, that would be a great marketing campaign. You'd probably put me under real quick, but
that's okay. You could still have a fight.
That's it. That would be a good one. I like that. I'm gonna take that paid.
But then like you bring this whole all this stuff like crescendos up like this battle between golden retriever and French bulldog, and then all of a sudden you have this crest where they like meet at a Cane's and you like film this standoff. And then like they all go in and like eat a bowl of food or something.
And that's over. Very anticlimactic.
It's very anticlimactic. But like the branding on that alone,
the buildup would be amazing.
Like, exactly.
Yes,
like Kane's got an Instagram. Lila has an Instagram. I think
there'd be some battles. That would be fun. But I feel like the Canes army is probably a lot stronger than the Cards and Culture.
That's not the point, Anthony. You're missing the point here.
But I could do the thing like with people when they pick fights with Drake, like the big rappers,
right.
like or the little rappers, like that'll be me. I'll be picking a fight with them so I can get some followers, and get Lila some clout. That'll be good.
That's it. It's all about building Lila's clout.
That's it. That's what we're here for.
But the thing is, so Kane, like the brand is all over merch, but I don't know if there's actually a picture of like Kane. There might be some on some shirts, but you start throwing out some Lila merch.
Game over. Nobody can compete.
Start taking pictures of her in front of the Canes.
Just start trolling them that way.
Find the new football coach mobile and like post up right in front of the mobile. Yes.
That'd be so good.
Or go the same day and like walk in the background as like they're taking photos.
Just slow troll.
There's so much can be done there.
I like that. You got the ideas. I got to start coming over here. This is the innovation place for sure.
We got beer.
That's definitely a strong plus.
I would offer tequila, but we finished that off.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, love it. We got a graveyard behind us.
That's good.
So you've got F45. I mean, now you decide all of a sudden, let's open a brick and mortar store in 2020 in COVID when nobody can go anywhere. Like you've already made 2 solid business decisions at this point.
Well, that's where I was like, I've convinced myself that this is an opportunity, right? And that's where I was like, I had this pandemic hit me, and I was like, what do I do now? How do I keep my time busy? I can't go to the gym, blah, blah, blah. I had some basketball cards, made a little Instagram about it, started selling things. Pandemic, kind of heightened the collectibles market with The Last Dance and things like that. It was kind of people's, and especially gamblers and things like that, people's competitive fix with sports and things. So I think I saw an opportunity where if I could time it right with Perkins Row, because I wouldn't open up a brick and mortar shop unless there was foot traffic and that kind of stuff with collectibles.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a very museum feel, Hall of Fame type feel, and I was like, if I can create that kind of atmosphere, but also still sell merchandise, sports cards, art, vinyl figures, sneakers, things like that, I think we could do something really cool and then dual purpose the space for multimedia stuff, right? For the podcast that I was doing, autograph signings for athletes where I could create a better experience for the athlete and the consumer And as things started opening back up, it could be a cool spot for the community to come to and kind of celebrate their athletes and things like that. So I saw an opportunity. It was something that was definitely far-fetched, and I threw a lot of money and time into, but it's something I think is going to really pay off. I think now we're really finding our way, and it's been really, really fun for me to kind of be on this true startup journey where it's my idea and rolling into a true business.
I love that. So what were some of the kind of hiccups to getting a brick and mortar in Perkins Row? Yeah. I mean, like when you think of Perkins Row, for some businesses are like, yeah, that's where we want to be. That's the space we got to be. Yeah. But I'm sure like were there just vacant spots from COVID? Like again, were you seeing that, hey, I just need to outlast this thing?
Yeah. And that's kind of what it was, is I had driven by Perkins Row and a couple of my friends lived there and stuff. And one of my best friends just moved in there. So I was walking around and I could see the businesses going in and out. And then there was just this one prime location that I just loved. It had double doors, which was a little different than some of the other spaces. And to me, there was something about that. And I was just like, I walked past it and I noticed that the Impeccable Pig had gone out of business. And so I just literally called the landlord just to get a ballpark on the number. And it was somebody out in Texas. And so that was my first hiccup. Was I was kind of hoping that during a pandemic, I could leverage a little bit, hey, I'm a former LSU player, former MLB player. I'm trying to bring a collectible shop. It would be something that would help, foot traffic and things like that. But this lady had no idea who I was. Like, and I don't expect people to know who I am, but in Baton Rouge, it's a benefit to say I played at LSU baseball. We won a national championship, and this is why it'll help business, right? This lady had no idea. She was like, okay, great. Sounds good. Yeah, I'll let you know our prices and stuff, So that was my first hiccup, was like, okay, that didn't go the way that I thought it would, And it sounds arrogant, but I just was like, my communication style and why I was even approaching it, like I didn't, and that kind of stuff. So, but once we kind of ironed out the details and she told me, hey, look, this is what we normally charge, but because we need some tenants in there and I'll actually give you a pop-up rate instead of like a full 4 or 5 year lease where you have to do a personal guarantee, all these different things. We need some bodies in the building and I get it. So she sent me a deal and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, hey, if we can get it to this number, you got a deal and you got a tenant for a year. And so she got it to that number and it worked really well. And it was probably about half of what I think the previous tenant was paying. And so again, opportunity,
half
right?
of something's better than half of nothing.
Absolutely. That's what I've heard a few times. Right?
I mean, and like just from taking it as like a multimedia space approach, you've got a show, you've got a podcast that you're doing and developing. You need a space just for that.
Exactly.
Like if you're gonna put money into rent for a building that you're gonna turn into a business later on and hope to build throughout COVID, why not at least just have a bomb in space for your multimedia side of things?
Exactly. And that's what I saw that as like a backup. If I was like, not even a backup, but I was like, if I can turn this into a community meeting ground, right, of athletes, entertainers, influencers, that kind of stuff, but also, people that like to collect things and comics, cards, sneakers, art, that kind of stuff. It's like we can build a cool little melting pot here, and I think we could be pretty profitable. So, and it's worked out really well. We've done some really cool multimedia stuff, and then I think I know we kill it on the retail side of things. It's going really well.
That's good. And so, do you have anything like with NIL, like what has happened with that from your perspective with the store?
That's been a whirlwind for me, because another reason why I wanted the brick and mortar location was because I knew NIL was coming. I was like, okay, there's going to be a time that I can pay student athletes to come have a podcast with me, and I can make t-shirts and hats with their numbers and memorabilia, and I can tell their story and that kind of stuff, right? And that was a big reason why I wanted the brick and mortar location. But I opened my doors July 1. July 1 was when the NIL was passed. I thought it was going to be the next year, 2 years.
Oh, so you didn't know it was going to happen that soon?
Not that soon. And I was like, oh man, I better get going, So I felt like a lot of stuff happened.
Fast forwarding all of our decisions.
Exactly. So I think I rushed into a lot of things. I did some really cool stuff with Darius Days and Caleb Pointer. We did a few things with a few football players, like breaking cards, but not any big deals or anything like that. But I was able to pay them. I was able to have them come into the shop and just say that they were there, able to give them shirts and hats and things like that. We worked with a couple female athletes, which was really cool, because I think, just working with diverse individuals and telling their stories from a different angle is really fun for me. So I had a couple soccer players come in, and even their pay was a little different, right? I got to give them a couple hype sneakers as their compensation, which was a little different than just a cash grab, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I've enjoyed the NIL experience. It was definitely overwhelming at first, but I think as I figure out our process and where we fit in that, I think it's going to be hugely beneficial to businesses and for the players, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're getting you've got that name brand recognition of being the place for collectibles, and so you already do produce like some merch for some people.
Yep.
So now like get into the business of working with these athletes and making like their own brand. Oh no, we encourage the snap, crackle, and pop.
Nice. Okay.
So like even being able to encourage them, say, hey, let's make like a sneaker line for you. Like, is that something that's on the table? Y'all are tossing around that idea of doing like branded merch with these athletes.
Yep. And that's exactly what I think it was so exciting about Cards and Culture, was that original memorabilia feel almost, right? Of we can create merchandise for them, but also then trading cards or collectibles or, like you said, sneaker, shoes. Maybe we can buy them a pair of Jordans. We can partner with an artist and they can do some really cool content and write, design things on the shoe for the player that's unique to them and tells their story and has meaning and sentimental value. Then after the game, the player signs it and Cards and Culture auctions it, and a fan gets this really cool memorabilia piece that's a one-of-one that Cards and Culture created or helped the athlete create, right? So I think there's so many possibilities that we want to do in that world. It's just a matter of what the value is for the athlete, what the value is for the business, where do we, each make money, or where does the money get dispersed, dispensed to, all that different
the logistics.
Stuff. Exactly.
The money logistics, the lame stuff, right?
Right, yeah. But I feel like all these athletes, everybody, some of these stories that you hear about these athletes getting paid is like some of these guys and girls want astronomical numbers, and it's like, who's paying you this stuff,
Yeah, like where are you pulling this number out of?
Right.
Well, and I think that, so when you look at the NIL, it's very similar to that of influencer marketing, right?
Yes.
They go hand in hand. And so when influencer marketing started getting the big push, and for locals, that started being a really affordable option.
Right.
Pay somebody to come to my shop, talk about it, do a live, do whatever.
Yep.
Or with restaurants, comp you a free meal on your whole table, a free meal for you to write a good review, you post some videos, blah, 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 whatever it may be.
Yep.
But then you started getting with these people that started having this not significant amount of followings, a decent following.
Right.
I mean, when you start getting into the 5, the 10, the 15,000, like that's a serious amount of followers.
Yeah.
When you have more followers than you have like friends, I'm like, all right, you're doing well.
Yeah.
I look at like our numbers and I say, okay, how many followers? Well, what are our stats? And I go, how many people are not connected to me? That's the number that I really care about, because that shows the growth beyond my family and friends.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, go follow, go support, go do all this and that. Like that's the number that really impacts, because that's the number of people who are looking outside of your immediate network and wanting to interact and engage with you.
Correct.
And so if you got these people coming in with these, what I would classify as mediocre numbers, our numbers are stupid low. Like I'm not even going to try to be like, oh yeah, we've got all these big numbers. Like no. But again, those people that get those numbers of 5, 10, 15,000, they come in like, hey, we need a pretty big check to do before we do anything.
And
it's like,
why?
Why? My first question is, okay, well, great. Love the number you're coming with.
Right.
Love it. What's your engagement?
Yeah. Show me some numbers. Show me some analytics on the back end.
I need some interaction within your brand. Who's interacting with you? What are those numbers?
Yep.
Because I know I can go and pay $150 to a company on Fiverr and I can get 20,000 followers tomorrow.
Exactly.
So what's your engagement rate? Do you really have 20,000 followers, or do you have 2,000 followers and 18 fake?
Yep.
Or 18 bot. I'm sorry, 18 bot.
Yep.
And so it's like, oh, you've got 20,000 followers, you've got 20 likes on 5 of your posts.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not going to pay you this astronomical fee, because the second I pay it, I'm going to be set up the next person in line to be expected to pay that same fee.
Yep.
And so, like, I feel like what you were saying with the NIL deal, a lot of people came in saying, oh, I'm going to make, $1 million, one piece of content.
Yeah.
Like, you have 5,000 followers.
Yeah. Slow your roll.
Yeah.
But that's why I like working with, smaller teams, the females too, because women care way more about guys.
They're so engaging.
That's what I'm saying. And they just care more. Like they want their pictures to look better. They're going to interact with their fans. They care about the engagement, like you said. And where the guys are like, oh, I press post, it's over. Get my check, that's it.
On to the next one.
On to the next. And that's been my experience as a business owner. And in the beginning, I thought it would be fun and educational for the athletes to be like, hey, I'll give you a percentage of our profits, right? Which means the more that you market it, the more money we make, which means more money into your pocket. That didn't work at all. They don't care about that.
Flat
They're
fee.
Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to get to, is be like, flat fee, cool. I can market everything and not even worry about when you post, how you post, or anything. And then all the profit just comes back to us, but trying to find that number is a lot harder. Like, because that's what they think that they're. I shouldn't say that. A lot of people think that they're worth a lot more than what they are right now.
Well, and it's such a new space.
That's why. Yeah.
We all, everybody in that space wants to shoot as high as they can and then start working their way back down.
Correct.
Because the last thing you want to do is undersell yourself, right? So as an athlete, as an influencer, the last thing you want to do is come in and say, look, I'll do it for, I'll do a month for $100.
Yeah.
And the business owner's like, okay. And then they feel like they're being taken advantage of.
Yep.
So they want to start at that higher number and then slowly work our way down to something that's more reasonable and attainable and actually is profitable for the business owner, because they're saying, yeah, we're paying you, but we're seeing a greater ROI than what we're paying you. Let's continue it going. They don't want to come in with some super low ball feel and then be like, well, I guess this is what I'm worth. Yeah. And then they want to shoot that over the moon shot and, shoot your shot, right?
Exactly. And they probably have their friends telling them like, hey dude, I might get 500 from so-and-so. I might get this from that. And it's like, it's all just hearsay, right? So that's the thing that I think kids get caught up in. And that's the hard part and then they have to understand it from a business perspective of like, okay, I'm giving you this to try to get this. And if I don't get it, then I can't give you this,
Well, and that's when, the business owners say, let's go to a month-to-month contract. Yeah. And initially they're like, no, a year, like sign us for a year. It's like, we understand where you're coming from. But as a business owner, we're taking a gamble, a large gamble, that you're going to treat our baby as we treat our baby.
Right.
And if you don't, because you've got 6 or 8 other brand deals, we're just going to be another weekly post.
Yep. Exactly.
You're not going to come and actually genuinely care about what we're doing. And so when you find those lower, I would almost be more encouraged to pay the lower follower athletes or influencers that have the higher rate, because they know that their following cares. And they care, and they're going to give you way more than you pay for.
That's
and no fault of their own by their pricing. They're just like, we're reasonable within our rates. Here it is, but that they care because they've organically grown and done what they've done, and really want to push out everything as best as they can, because it's a reflection on them.
Exactly.
And they may have 4,000 or 5,000 followers, but they get like 3,000 or 4,000 likes, 200 or 300 comments. People are engaging, like, where'd you get this? Where'd you get that? They got people in their DMs. Where can we buy this? Where can we buy that want to support what they're after. Those are the ones that are going to make it in the long run than those coming in with some manufactured numbers and statistics trying to get the highest dollar.
Absolutely. I think like you're saying, like authenticity wins in that space, right? So people will sniff that stuff out if it's just a post, right? If all of a sudden I'm talking about that lamp over there that I know nothing about, but somebody asked me to post about it, people will know that versus, man, Anthony's really into sports cards. He does this stuff every day, or fitness, right? Like all these things, like that's more authentic to me. You can hear it in my voice and the way I'm passionate about things. And that's the things that I'm looking for with NIL individuals, people that are passionate about telling their story and collaborating with me as a brand, and telling our story as well.
Yeah, it'd be like if you came on tomorrow on your story, hey guys, I'm out live in front of XYZ fast food chain, talking about their new dollar menu.
Yes. Guys, promise, check it out. Oh, swipe up and hit my link too. Make sure you use that when you buy.
It's like, exactly. Anthony, you own a sports complex. Like you own a training facility.
You eat at Smoothie King every day. Stop. We know you're not at the fast food place. Yeah.
Why don't you get with like Main Squeeze or somebody? Something that makes sense.
Right.
And what I love to see is when people come in, whether it's a social media influencer or an NIL athlete, when they focus on the brands that make sense for who they are as a person, as an individual, those are the ones that, like you said, they're authentic in what they do, and ultimately will drive sales a lot better.
Yes.
Like if people start seeing me posted out in front of Cards and Culture talking about sports, they're gonna be like, all right, Patrick, what's Anthony giving you?
Like, how much do you get paid to be there?
That's right. Because I'm like, I don't know sports. Like, I enjoy watching. Great. Right. Love all that. But like, don't start asking me. Like, when you started going over your velocity rates, I was like, we're not going down the rabbit hole. Like, that's it. Like,
I love that.
That's all I know.
I love that.
Like, all right, you throw the ball fast. Wait, no, that's slow. Oh, okay.
Sounded fast to me.
So, yes, next question. Like, just being your true self.
Yeah, authentic.
And so all of that kind of has played into a part in what you're doing now in the digital space. Like, I'm not going to lie, I went to tag you today in Twitter, and I pulled up your users, and I was like,
what is that picture?
Who is this? I'm like, what in the world? Like, this is not Anthony.
Yeah.
Like, I know what the dude's face looks like. This is not him.
Yep.
And I was like, Carson Culture, same thing. It's none of this looks remotely familiar.
Yep.
So then I went on, I was like, okay, no, it is him. Then I was like, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
This guy's going with the NFTs.
Oh, dude, I'm deep into it. I'm exploring into it, and that's why. So you're talking about my Twitter profile picture. I'm definitely one of those people that has the profile picture with an NFT right now. But I'm exploring Twitter and exploring this space. I think it's something that's innovative. It's new. I hear a lot of people compare it to, like, you know, when the internet came around and this new technology and how our brains can't even conceptualize the technology yet. So that's why I've just dipped in so many different ways. I just want to understand it. I just want to try it. I just want to learn. And so Twitter's one of those mediums that I'm definitely using to do that stuff. Definitely some space cadet stuff.
Space cadet.
I call myself a space cadet a lot.
Why? Just
I'm just out there. Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
out there. I'm just doing weird stuff. You're like, what do you do? What are you up? You're in space, bro. You're just out there. You're just, you're weird, like that kind of stuff.
But I feel like as an entrepreneur, you have to be almost.
Yeah.
Like you have to be dipping your toes in all this different types of stuff that you have no idea about. But as an entrepreneur, you want to figure it out as you go, right? You know, you may think you want to start off as a tech company that's focused around, real estate, for example. And then all of a sudden you find yourself having conversations about opening like a podcast studio. It's just like, you don't know where it's going to take you when you're starting out. It's wherever it goes, it goes.
That's the thing I love about entrepreneurship. And that's been my story, right? Is I try stuff. I figure out what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. And even the things that I'm not good at, if it's important to my business, I want that feedback. And the only way to do it is to dive in, to try it, to make the mistakes, to learn the hard way, right? And like I use this analogy with our workers a lot at the shop, and because fear of failure is really important to me, understanding it and trying to the best to eliminate it. And I always tell our workers, like, when you were a kid, your mom told you not to touch the stove, right? And you could listen, you could hear her say that all you want, but you don't really know it and understand why she's telling you not to touch the stove until you burn your hand and feel it and be like, ooh, that's why I don't want to do it. Okay. And so that's what I feel like business is, right? And you got to try stuff and you got to throw stuff against the wall and be like, did that stick? Nope, it's sliding down. That's not the move, like that kind of feedback is good.
Not done.
Exactly, right? But that to me is like what I try to do, and that's what I'm doing with NFTs. That's what I try to do in business and try to tell people at our shop, right? I'd rather you send an email and learn that it was the wrong way to do it and that they said no because of this than to not send the email at all. We're in the same position if you didn't send the email, but you got to learn that way wasn't good, or it was good. They loved it. And that's the way you're going to, use going forward. So you got to try stuff.
And you have to have that, not necessarily like no fear at all, but like an understanding of the calculated risk of doing, ABC steps. Like so for me, it wasn't the hot stove. When I was growing up, it was electrical sockets.
Oh.
and keys.
Oh my God. You wanted to stick keys in there?
Oh, and I was a little toddler. I was playing with some keys, and my dad was sitting there like, hey, like, don't stick those in anything. It's not going to end well. And then I'm just sitting there, and we have like this bar, and there's this outlet like right at my eye level. And I'm just looking at the outlet. I'm looking at the keys. And all of a sudden, my dad just like leans up against the table. It's just like, I'm just gonna see what's gonna happen. And sure enough, I'm like, curiosity killed the cat, right?
Absolutely.
So I just stuck him in there and like shocked myself, and I immediately turned and see my dad right there. He's like, "Bet you won't do it again."
That's exactly right.
I was like, "No, sir.
Yep,
won't happen again." He's like, "Sometimes you gotta let them try."
Exactly.
And same thing in business. If like you said, you want to try as many things as you can. What sticks, what doesn't. NFTs may stick, they may not, but at least you can say, "I gave it a shot."
Yep. And at the worst case scenario, some people laugh at me and be like, dude, remember those things that you had as your profile picture and like that you thought were going to be cool? 20 years from now, we laugh about it and we move on. You know what I'm saying? And be like, yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Game over. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's it. And if you're okay with knowing that that's like, people might judge you, people might laugh at you. And if you're okay and secure enough in who you are as a person, like, what does that really matter? Right. But the reward is even better. If this technology does turn into something, maybe you're on the forefront of innovating and changing the game in collectibles, right? Like, so to me, it's a risk reward that's a no brainer, and I might as well try it.
It's what is the worst possible outcome.
Right.
And once you can accept that, nothing else matters.
I love that.
If you go into an idea or a situation, you say, look, if I go all in NFTs, for example, it's like if I go all in and I start pushing like all these digital products and all this digital space, and I go all in on it, what's the worst possible outcome?
Yep.
I'm out a couple bucks,
Yeah.
and people say, hey, Anthony, remember that time you thought digital was going to be a really big space and it turned out to be a major flop? And you say, yeah, it was, but guess what I learned? Boom, 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 boom. You learn all these lessons through all these quote unquote failures, but in reality, it's just a teaching moment.
Absolutely.
You're just learning about how not to do something or what was a fad that turned out to be nothing in perpetuity. But then on the upside, that people kind of fail to bring into the picture, like, look at the upside here. The upside is if you're on something like you said, if you're on the forefront and this stuff blows up, great. Who am I going to trust in Baton Rouge when it comes to an NIL deal within the NFT space? Cards and culture. Like, that's where I'm going to go, because they've made a name for it. Anthony's got this dude as a dang, emoji on his Twitter profile photo. That's what it is. What it is.
Yeah. And honestly, too, like in my experience, when you do stuff like that, even when you do fail, there's so many good things that come out of it. Whether it's people that you met along the way, lessons that you learned, right? Skills that you acquired. And two, like one of the other things too is I think it says a lot about somebody's character if they can try things, fail, and still remain a good person, right? Still treat people well. People can say all they want about like, hey, his ideas were crazy, blah, blah, blah. But like the way you make people feel, the way that you treat them goes even more, right? So as long as even when adversity and stuff's hitting the fan and messing up for you in life, as long as you can treat people well and you can still keep your head on straight, like, that's, like life's going to be fine. You're going to get another job. You're going to get another opportunity. You're going to get, like life, you're not going to shrivel up and die like just because you made a bad decision, or you tried something. And that to me is kind of my philosophy with it is, to me, there's just way more to learn and grow from than to be scared of,
Yeah, there's no point in not trying.
Exactly.
You can always go back and go the safe route.
Exactly.
Once you know the unsafe route was a failure.
If Cards and Culture fails tomorrow, I'll have 20 different applications out, the next day to go get a job, and I feel pretty confident that somebody will hire me. Like that's what I believe. So
you'll be okay.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
So Anthony, we could go on for hours and hours, but we got to start wrapping up the show. And as we do, I know it's like that's like the bittersweet of doing
an hour already.
Yeah.
It does fly by. Yeah, that's awesome. That's good.
Yeah, it's like that's the bittersweetness of doing a show is we have to end it at some point, So within that though, we have a set list of 4 questions we like to ask.
Nice.
The first question is, what are 3 lessons you've learned along the way? I mean, you've been in a lot of different spaces, from sports to businesses to franchisee to having a digital picture as a Twitter profile. Like, you've been all over the place. Right. So what are 3 lessons you've kind of learned along the way?
Great question. I think the first one is self-awareness. So like understanding who you are as a person, what makes you tick, what drives you, right? Like, what is success to you? What's your purpose behind everything? So I think understanding and self-actualization, self-awareness, whatever you want to call it, I would say is number 1, and understanding your why and why you do things. 2, I would say, is probably erasing that fear of failure that we just talked about, is understanding that things are going to go sideways, bad things are going to happen, but and a lot of things are out of your control, but what's in control is your response to things, and the way that you treat people, right? And that's a big thing for me, and professionality is huge. And the third thing, I don't know, I think the thing that I would say is surround yourself with good people, right? Like, and build a team and have trusted people around you for the things that you're not good at. But that goes back to self-actualization and self-awareness. The first thing is understanding I'm not good at this, so I need to hire this, right? Or I need to partner with this. And so being able to do that, swallow your pride, exercising humility, are all part of that. And I think that hiring the right people is huge. So I would say those 3.
Yeah, and realizing that there's only 24 hours in a day.
Oof. I should have actually put that before 1. That should be like the 100%. That's been a huge one for me even the last 6 months. I don't know what it's been the last 6 months, but just being like, slow down. Like, you can't do everything and right now. It's fine.
You can't do everything, and striking a balance between personal and business is tough.
Oof. That's a great one too. Yep.
Like, just realizing, I mean, I'm coming up on a 6-month-old, right? So it's like balancing.
Congratulations.
That's
awesome. Yeah.
It's balancing the act of business and personal, and realizing you can't do everything you were doing as, a young buck. in college and staying out till the wee hours of the night. And I was never like the partying wee hours of the night. I was like in meetings with people, like doing business development, like thinking through things and creating ideas and all this. But it's like you can't do that now because then you never get to see the personal side of things. Like you never get to have that family time. And so having that balance is, you have to understand that everyone is given the same amount of time in a day, 24 hours. You have to execute on as many as possible, but understand you need to reserve some for personal time or family time. You can't be 24/7 business.
Yeah.
Some people can, and it's great for those that can, but a vast majority of the crowd just cannot. Something will fall to the wayside.
Yep.
And the one that's going to fall to the wayside is the one that you're probably not going to like.
Yep. That's a great point. I love that. I mean, it's so true too. And the personal and business too that was a huge one for me. And even friends in business too. Bo Didier is one of my best friends. We've learned the hard way. Friendship in business is really, really hard too. So separating the two is very, very important.
What's even harder is family in business.
Oof. I can't imagine that.
Because at least you may not see your friend on Thanksgiving. You're going to probably see your family on Thanksgiving.
That's a good point.
And sit around that table.
That's a good point.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. So the next question is, what is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
I feel like I do. I sell Pokemon.
We never had that answer. That's awesome.
I sell Pokemon cards at my shop. I mean, dude, that's what I was doing.
Pokemon cards?
Dude, we do everything. Yeah. Like,
I didn't know it was I thought it was just sports cards.
Nah, Pokemon, Magic, dude, all
Yu-Gi-Oh?
of it. We don't. I'm not well versed in Yu-Gi-Oh, but I would love to have Yu-Gi-Oh in my shop. Yeah.
Do you have like Pokemon tournaments?
No, but I would love to.
Dude, host some Pokemon tournaments.
So I've had a couple Magic people be like, "Hey, we want to host like a Magic, tournament at the shop." I'm like, done. Game over. I would love that.
Do it and film it.
I'll be sick, right? But I don't know. I mean, the answer to the question, I feel like I get to live my childhood dream. I feel like every day I get to work out for a living. I go to a card shop and collectible shop and stuff like that. But I think honestly, like having my parents drive me places, that would be like, I know that sounds crazy, or having somebody like
having a driver.
Yeah, having something like that where it's like, it's not a mundane thing, but as a kid, you were like, you just take it for granted of like, man, mom and dad pay for everything. They drive me, like all these little things. So something like that, I feel like would be like something for me.
Well, I mean, it goes. So I see that in the respect of it goes back to you only have 24 hours in the day, right? So if you're driving from place to place to place, that time is being absorbed unless you schedule your conference calls where you have somebody taking notes for you and you can just talk while you drive. That's one thing. But for those times where you can't talk and drive, like having a driver or someone to bring you around is not so much of a class or an elegance status. It's, no, I need this so I can continue working.
It's a functionality or
like
efficiency thing.
Right. It's an efficiency thing, like Mark Wahlberg just got because I'm into cars, right? And so he was talking about West Coast Customs, did a car for him.
Yeah.
And they built it like with Wi-Fi boosters and like a folding desk that he could work while he was getting driven around town, or like on movie sets, he can come off the set, sit in his car and like do his work for his other businesses that he's involved in. And I'm like, that idea of having a mobile office with someone to bring you around from your location to location, like it's a great idea for one. It's a little expensive, but like having that ability, like you said, having your parents drive you around and that freedom of like, I don't have to worry about getting in the car and like, where am I going? Or it's navigating.
Brain power. And that's where you're like, if like, there's only so much. I tell people this at the shop all the time is like, sometimes the employees that I have there, I'm paying you to help just free up some of this brain power that I don't have to think about. Right. So it's like, I have to get in the car. What's the location? How far do I have to go? What street? Like, that's a lot of thinking. If you can just sit in the car and relax, or you can just be on your phone and be like, okay, cool. I can bang out these emails or text messages that I need to catch up on. It goes a long way. It really does.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like even navigating unfamiliar territory. Like you have to, then you have to look at your maps. Go, okay, well, wait, this is not exactly perfect. Like, like today when you showed up, you're like, hey man, I'm in the middle of a parking lot.
I think I'm here.
I think I'm here. There's a very big building, a very small sign.
Yes.
I'm like, you're at the right place.
Yes, this is the place.
Yes, you're here. But just stuff like that, you don't think about it when you're doing it from a business perspective of I could be focusing on something else.
Correct.
When in reality, you could.
Yep.
Like for me, the biggest thing is like writing down my daily tasks of what I'm supposed to do on like a task tracker.
Nice.
And then it's like, okay, that's all freed up.
Right.
And then I finish something. All right, what's next? All right, boom, knock it out. And you don't have to keep remembering, oh, I've got a meeting tomorrow at 2:30 with so-and-so. I've got to remember, oh, I've got to go here, go there, go this, and do that. Yep. Like I will tell everybody, if they're like, hey, can you talk with me this day? I said, send me a meeting maker.
Yeah, please.
Like,
yeah.
dude, we're going to get coffee. I'm like, send me a meeting maker.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's how I run things, is on a calendar, on a meeting scheduler. Like, I need to know when and where I'm going to be essentially every minute of the day.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? Who am I talking with? What am I working on? Just so I can then focus on the task at hand and do it to the best of my ability.
I need to do that before I go to sleep at night, just to like, because otherwise if I'm in bed and I haven't thought about what I'm doing the next day, or I haven't looked at my schedule, I'm like, did I call that person? Are they ready? Do they know that I'm going? Like, you know, is everybody okay at the shop? Like without, you know, like all these different things.
Can I go?
Yeah. Can I? Yeah. So I'm the same way. And it's like, it's just that mental freedom of like, cool, all my ducks are in a row. Everything's organized. Everybody knows where I'm going to be. Good.
Yeah. So, and that's finding little things like that is huge over the long term of successful business operators.
Absolutely.
So what is something you love about Baton Rouge?
There's a lot of things that I love about Baton Rouge. I would say that just in general, like if I had to just generalize it, the people, just the way that they carry themselves, their hospitality, their openness, their generosity, that kind of stuff, just resonates a lot more with me than, and again, I'm comparing it to New Jersey because that's
where you're from. You got to
17
compare it.
years. Yep. So absolutely, that's what I would say is the people.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very common theme.
Is it?
Within this, yeah.
I feel like food and people go together too, because like right, the people are cooking the food, they got the traditions, the recipes, and that's stuff that you don't see everywhere else, right? Like today, you can go Google like the best. If you were in Alabama and you want to do crawfish, you could be like Louisiana crawfish, and you Google the recipe, right? But here in Louisiana, it's like, no, this is how my grandma does it. We do this, like you know, like blah, blah. It's just a little different. It feels different, so that's why I think people and food and that culture kind of goes together.
More of a connection there, instead of, you know, like you said, in New Jersey, you wave at somebody and like,
waving at me.
Do I have something on me? Like what? Like what's happening? Like,
what do you want from me?
What do you want from me? Whereas here, they're like, "Hey, Anthony, how's it going?"
You're like, what? Well, that was honestly a funny story. When I first got here, I remember one of my roommates was Micah Gibbs. He was from Texas, and this lady, she asked 3 different times. I walked out the stadium, you know, like, and I was going to my car. She's like, Anthony, we'd love to have you over and cook for you, you know, like, and like just have you over and cook some dinner. And I was like, okay, I'll let you know. And I just remember getting in my car and then going to Mike and be like, dude, this lady keeps telling me that she wants me to come to her house, dude. What does she want from me? Like, what does she think I'm going to do? Like, she thinks I'm going to pay her to like feed. And he was like, I think she just wants to cook for you, dude. You need to relax. And I'm like, no, there's definitely no way that somebody would just cook dinner for you and not want something. Like she's going to hold that over my head like a year from now and expect me to do something. And he's like, I think you're a little like, the South is different, buddy. You know,
she really just wants to cook.
She just wants to cook for you, and that's the thing that in New Jersey it was like, oh, you're doing something for me. What do you want? Like you're gonna want something.
What's your end of this?
Yeah, 6 months from now or something like. So it's just that mindset of like we don't trust people, we're not open, you know, like that kind of stuff. So I think it's funny that's what I love about the South. I really do.
So you know, I gotta ask the question: did you go and have dinner with this lady?
I did. Yeah.
You did?
and she's honestly one of my dad's best friends nowadays. Like
I love it.
Yes. Her name's Binky. And I just remember her being so nice to me and I just being like, this lady Binky keeps wanting to like, you know, like cook for me. What does she want? Like, but I think that's just like, that was me just coming down here and having a culture shock, you know, it was cool.
Dude, so whenever we had our son, Quentin, so I lived down the street from the K lady.
Nice.
And she showed up with like this big bowl of spaghetti and noodles. She's like, "Here, y'all enjoy." She's like, I know you're busy. Like, bye. I'm like, where are you going? Like,
what do I do with this big bowl of spaghetti now?
We're 2 people. Like, what do I do with this?
My baby can't eat the spaghetti yet.
Like, what do I do? But it's just like that hospitality is like all across the South, like within Louisiana. Like that's what. When like she didn't expect anything back.
No expectations.
Like no expectations. Like then once like Quentin was older, I was able to go to her house, but hey, like this is Quentin, like introduce her, and like that was it.
Yep.
Like return your dishes, you know, like that's the courtesy.
Give it back to me. Yeah.
Give the dishes back.
That's so great. That's it. That's so awesome though. That's exactly it. It's giving with no expectations, and that's something that I didn't know too much about coming from New Jersey. So I appreciate that about the South.
Yeah, and that's the commonality here.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I'm a resident now. I'm ingrained.
Love it. Got that Louisiana driver's license.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
2012 or 13 now. It's been a minute.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, for the final question, what can I do to help you, man?
Come be on my podcast. That would be fun.
Done.
That would be awesome.
Done.
Yeah.
I like
That's awesome. No, I appreciate this. This is I know you said your numbers aren't, but I don't care about that. To me, it's all about the conversation. It's about what you're trying to do, your message, your intentions, and the way you guys treated me here. This was awesome. So this was a lot of fun. The conversation was great, and if I can do anything for you, I would love to do the same. So
yeah, we'll go on the show and we'll take it from there.
I love it.
Thank you so much, Anthony, for coming on the show, man. I had a great
appreciate it,
time with
Patty.
you.
Yeah, this is awesome.
And thank you, everybody else, whether you're watching or listening to us. I really appreciate your time and your commitment to making the show what it is. I know the guests do as well. If you're in Perkins Row or you're in Baton Rouge, you want to go find a cool place for some cards and culture, check out Anthony Renato's shop right there in Perkins Row. And just follow him along with his podcast and all his business endeavors. If you're looking for a gym, F45 is an option now, Go check him out, and thank you so very much for listening. This has been the latest episode of the Patty G Show here with Anthony Renato, and we're out.
Sell your home for a $399 flat fee with Falaya. No, seriously. Falaya will list your home on the MLS and help you get all the way to the closing table for as little as a $399 flat fee. Our online platform is insanely easy to use and will save you thousands. If you're thinking about selling your home in 2022 and want to keep more of your hard-earned equity in your pocket, you need to check out Falaya. Falaya, real estate reimagined.
Thank you all so very much for listening to this episode of the Patty G Show, brought to you by Government Taco. They're located on the corner of Government Street and Jefferson Highway. Jay is always slinging up a new taco of the month, so if you're a frequenter to Government Taco, let us know in the comments what you thought about this month's taco of the month. If you're not a frequenter, maybe trying out this month's taco might just convert you. Big thanks over to them at Government Taco for making the Patty G Show possible.
At Horizon Financial Group, we enjoy helping others achieve greater confidence, clarity, and direction in their lives. We realize everyone's path to financial success is unique. Sometimes you just need a friendly guide along the way. Whether it's customized financial planning, individual wealth management, or servicing your company's retirement plan, we've got the team with the experience to help you reach your goals. Horizon Financial Group, helping you provide, protect, and prosper for those counting on you. Visit us at horizonfg.com. Cetera Advisors, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Cetera is a separate entity.
Thank you to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge for making this show possible. Nick Pentis is a past guest. We love having him on. Listening to him talk about the culture they have over at Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge is really an incredible thing to hear. How they treat not only their employees, but every customer that walks through the door. You are more than just a number to them. They're going to give you that white glove concierge service every step of the way. They're going to make you feel like family and take what can be a stressful time in people's life, shopping for a car. They're going to make it so enjoyable and so pleasurable. You're going to want to go back there time and time again for every new vehicle. Thank you so very much for Mercedes-Benz of making this show possible. Thank you so very much to Currency Bank, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show. If you are looking for a business bank that fosters on three core values, relationships, service, and technology, Currency Bank is the place for you. They pride themselves on convenient, accessible, and secure online banking resources where you can manage your account balances, initiate transfers, enroll with e-statements, and more via their online portal. Between the relationships, the service, and the technology, they are going to be that partner with your business every step of the way, regardless of what you need. Currency Bank is the bank for business owners. Thank you so very much to Mallard Bay Outdoors, the Airbnb for the outdoor sportsman. If you're looking to book a hunt or a fishing trip, this is the platform to use. They were a past guest of the Patty G Show. We got to learn all about what they're doing from the ground up. They are really revolutionizing the booking process for hunts and fish all across the country. For your next hunting or fishing experience, or maybe your corporate retreat, you're looking for something to do for your employees, book a hunt or a fishing trip with Mallard Bay Outdoors, and they will take care of you every step of the way, from organizing it with the guides and the captains to making sure you can take care of them at the end of the trip. Mallard Bay Outdoors, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show.